array is a collection of homogeneous elements, or we can say that it is a collection of elements which having same data type stored under same name. There are three types of array. First one dimensional array, second one two-dimensional array, and third one is multi-dimensional array. When you want to display the result, on that time we want to display the array, especially there we need some spaces in between. For that sake, we are using setW function. Welcome back to one and all. Myself, Vasanta, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Today, we want to start with the first session of Arrays chapter. Whereas in the annual exam, from this chapter, you will get 9 marks. In part A, for 1 mark, 1 question you will get. Then in part C, for 3 marks, 1 question. As well as in part D, 1 question you will get for 5 marks. Totally 9 marks you will get from this chapter. Whereas when you come on arrays, on this session you will study regarding introduction to arrays. What do you mean by array? How to represent the array? The general syntax of array. Then types of array. Under types we have 3 types. One-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, and one more is multi-dimensional array. There are 3 types of arrays. Then how to declare a one-dimensional array. Then how to initialize of one-dimensional array. How to assign some value for that array, that is initialization of an array. Then how to access one-dimensional array elements. How to access the elements, how to print the array elements. Regarding that, you will study on today's class. First, we will discuss about arrays. What exactly this array states? Array is a collection of homogeneous elements, or we can say that it is a collection of elements which having same data type stored under same name. For example, I want to declare the variables, 5 variables I want to declare. Then generally what we will write int A, B, C, D, E like this we will write. Is it no? That means here if I want to declare, here in this totally we have 5 elements. All the 5 elements of type integer we are given. If you want, we can declare the same thing in the another format, int A of 5. Then what happens? Here totally we have 5 elements. All the 5 elements of type integer only stored by the same name A. That means array is a collection of elements. Whereas here I give only 5. If I want, I can declare 100 elements also. For example, int A of 100. Then totally 100 elements we have. For example, I want to declare 200. For example, float data type, float, B of 200. Like this, we can able to declare. It means that in this case, we have 5 elements, all the 5 elements of type integer stored by the same name A. Whereas here we have 100 elements, all the 100 elements of type integer stored by the same name A. Whereas in this case, we have totally 200 elements, all the 200 elements of type float stored by the same name B. It means that array is a collection of homogeneous elements. Homogeneous is nothing but same data type, or we can say that array is a collection of elements of same data type. Collection of elements of same data type stored under by the same name. The same thing, an array is a collection of elements where all the elements are same data type and under the same name only. Whereas in this case, we have A of 5, it means that we have 5 elements. All the 5 elements are stored by the same name A only. But if I want to access the first element, then the first element position represents 0. 0 represents the first element position. A of 0 represents the value inside that. It means that an array is a collection of objects and all the objects have the same name here. It having same name. Each object is called an element. Each element here, this when we call it as, each object can be called as elements here. The elements are numbers as 0 to n minus 1. For example, if you have 5 elements, on that case, how to represent int A of 5 we will write. Whereas the first element, always in arrays, the first element position starts from 0. On this, we have 5 memory location because 5 elements are there. 5 memory location. First one starts from 0, then 1, second one 2, 3, then the last one is 4. But the last here, totally 5 elements we have, but the memory location stops at 4 only. That means the last position can be called as n minus 1. The totally 5 elements are there, but the last position is 4. Especially here, n minus 1 is nothing but 4 here. That means here, each element starts from position 0 to n minus 1. That is the thing here we use, right? Each element is called an element, and the elements are numbered as 0, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. The last one compulsory can be called as n minus 1 here. And here, these numbers are called indices or subscript also. In the exam, you may get the question, the subscript, which data type it is. When they come on subscript, it must and should be integer format only. These numbers are used to locate the position of the element within the array. On which position the element is present. Regarding that, we can able to identify. The array elements are always stored in a contiguous sequential memory location. It means that always array elements will stored in continuous memory location. In between it does not have any space. Compulsory continuous memory location only. All the elements will store here. And the subscript always starts with 0 here. If you observe in this example, the subscript always starts from the position 0. The position always starts from 0 and ends with n minus 1 position. Now when we come on array, consider the array can be represented like this format. Here we are given, for example, a of 5. A of 5. Here we are given int a of 5. Then here totally we have 5 elements. If you observe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. But the first element position starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas 4 can be called as n minus 1 here. N minus 1. Because for n we are given, how much? 5 we are given. 5 elements, whereas the last one will be n minus 1. In the above example, A is the name of the array. It represents the name of the array. A of 0 contains the element 10 here. A of 0 contains the element 10. And A of 1 contains the element 20. In the same way, A of 2 contains the element 30. And A of 3 contains the element 40. In the same way, A of 4 contains the element 50 here. It means that all the elements are in continuous memory location. The first element position starts from 0 and the last one, the element position will be n minus 1. Now is it clear? Next, when we come on types of array, there are 3 types of array. First one, one-dimensional array. Second one, two-dimensional array. And third one is multi-dimensional array. Then what do you mean by one-dimensional array? The array which contains only one subscript, then it can be called as one-dimensional array. If the array, if it contains 2 subscripts, then it can be called as two-dimensional array. But when they come on multi-dimensional array, there if it is more than 2 subscripts, then it can be called as multi-dimensional array. For example, for one-dimensional array, we will write int a of 10. Then here how many subscripts we have? Only one subscript, where it may be row or it may be column. Whereas in two-dimensional array, int a of 2:2. Then it can be called as two-dimensional array because we have 2 subscripts, the first one as well as the second one. The first subscript represents the total number of rows and the second subscript represents the total number of columns. But when they come on multi-dimensional array, if we have more than 2 subscripts, then it can be called as multi-dimensional array. For example, int a of 2:2:2. Here if you observe, more than 2 subscripts we have, whereas in this case we have 3 subscripts. It means that if we have more than 2 subscripts, then it can be called as multi-dimensional array. Now one by one we will discuss. First we will discuss on one-dimensional array. Already I told you what do you mean by one-dimensional array? The array which contains only one subscript, where it may be in row format or it may be in column format. Whereas when they come on two-dimensional array, it is a combination of row as well as column. But whereas in one-dimensional array, it must and should be. It may be row or it may be column. It is an array in which each element is accessed by using one subscript here. Only one subscript we have. The only one subscript represents the position of the element in the array. Exactly on which position the element is present. But when we come on two-dimensional array, it is an array in which each element is accessed using two subscript. Whereas here only one subscript. When we come on two-dimensional array, we have two subscript. The subscript represent the position of element in the array. But when we come on the third one, multi-dimensional array, there a multi-dimensional array is an array of n dimension. N dimension we have. It means that more than two subscript we have in multi-dimensional array. Now one by one briefly we'll discuss about one-dimensional array. What exactly this one-dimensional array says, how to represent, what is the syntax of one-dimensional array, that now we'll explain. It is an array in which each element is accessed by using only one subscript. We have only one subscript. The only one subscript represents the position of the element in the array. While writing the general syntax, first you have to write the data type. Which data type you want, write down the data type. Then next you have to write the array name. Inside the square bracket, you have to mention the size. That is subscript. Here in this example, int marks 50 we are given. It means that int is a data type, marks is the array name. Here the size here we are given as 50. It means that it will allocate 50 memory space. All the 50 memory space of type integer only here. It means that here if you want, we can be able to access each element by using only one subscript. We have only one subscript. The subscript starts from 0 to n minus 1. Whereas in this example, the starting position will be 0 and the last position will be 49. Because here we have 50 elements, the last position will be n minus 1. That's why it is 49. In this example, defines an array marks that can store 50 elements and all the elements are of type integer data type only. For example, if I am going to write float b of 10, then totally how many elements are there? Here totally 10 elements. All the 10 elements of type float stored by the same name b here. It means that if it is integer, then it occupies 2 bytes of memory space. If it is float, then it will occupy 4 bytes of space. If it is character data type, then it will occupy 1 byte of space in the memory. Now, how to initialize one-dimensional array? Initialization is nothing but assigning some values. For each and every location, we will initializing. We are assigning some values. To initialize one-dimensional array, first you have to write the data type, then array name. Inside the square bracket, by which value you want to initialize, you have to write that. By whichever values you want to initialize, you can write. Whereas in this case, what happens? We have totally 5 elements. The position starts from 0. Here 0, then 1, next 2, then 3, then 4. Totally position wise 4, but total elements are 5. Here we are initializing for 0th position 9, next for 1 position minus 5, next position 6, 2 and then 8. Like this, we can able to initialize the values also. In the above example, the 9 is stored in the location A of 0. This is 0 represents position and A of 0 represent the value 9. In the same way, minus 5 is stored in the location A of 1 and 6 is stored in the location A of 2. 2 is stored in the location A of 3. In the same way, 8 is stored in the location A of 4. Now it's clear. Next, we'll explain regarding how to access the element. especially in one-dimensional array, how to access, how to take the elements. Regarding that, now we'll tell you. When you come on accessing the elements of one-dimensional array, first, for example, we have declaring int a of 5. It means that we have totally 5 elements, all the 5 elements of type integer only, and here the array name we are given as a. We can read 5 elements into the array through the input device using writing the following program segment. How to write? Enter the elements. Here, cout statement we are used. It means that in the output screen, it will display that enter the elements. Enter the elements. Then for I equals 0 we are given, that means starting position. And here I is less than 5 we are given. It means that up to it will take 4. Starts from, first position starts from 0 and the last position will be 4 because less than 5 we are given, then I++. When you want to input multiple values or when you want to display multiple values, on that time we are using this for loop. First time what happens here, see extraction operator a of I. Then for I position it will take 0. For I in the first case it will take a of 0. Then a of I we are given, that value we can able to input here, whatever value you want you can give. First element we can able to input here. Then once again the array size increases, now 0, now it become 1, that is a of 1 it will take. On the place of I now 1 it will take, then it will input the second value, whichever value you want you can input. Then next once again it will check the condition and it will increases, then a of 2, then whichever value you want you can input. Then next a of 3, 4, then a of 4, for example it will take 6. Then once again I value will increases, I++, then it will check the condition not satisfied. Now I is greater than or equals to 5 now, then it will come out from the loop. It means that here we can able to input, whereas this is for your reference. Whereas in the output screen how to write? Enter the elements, then one by one all the values you can able to input here. To print the 5 elements of the above array, now we are just inputted. Now if I want to print the elements, then some rules and regulations here we have to follow. For that, first you have to write cout the array elements are. First you have to display the array elements. On this place of enter the elements, now you have to print the array elements are. Then for loop, once again you are taking for loop. Then first element position 0 up to less than 5, then I++. Cout set W5 we are given. It means that in between we need 5 spaces. Set W is a helps to display the space in between. It's a manipulator function here. Here what happens? First here at the time of input, what I've done? 6, 5, 3, 4 and 6 is the input values I given. Now I want to print. Then in the output screen what it will display first? The elements are. The elements are, it will display. Then first element, first it will going to leave 5 spaces. If I'm going to give 6, then it will going to give 6 spaces. First element it will print 6. Then it will leave 5 spaces. Then next 5. Then 3, 4, 6. In between we need some spaces. For that we need set W function. Otherwise what happens if I not use it set W? All the values will display like this. 6, 5, 3, 4, 6. We need some spaces in between. For that sake, we are using set W function. Now is it clear? Now we'll explain this with one example program. Consider we want to read the element into the array and print the elements. It means that now how to read the elements as well as how to print the element by using array concept, that now we will explain. First, we are starting with #include iostream.h. This is a supporting header file for scene as well as cout function. Then the next header file #include conio.h. This is a supporting header file for clear screen as well as getCH function. And the next header file #include iomanip.h. iomanip.h header file is used to manipulate your output result. Because when you want to display the result, on that time we want to display the array, especially there we need some spaces in between. For that sake, we are using set W function. For that, the supporting header file is iomanip.h. Then as usual, we will to start with the main program, void main. Here we are opening the flower bracket. It means that now we are starting the main program. Here, int a of 50 we are given. It means that the compiler will allocate 50 memory space, then I as well as n are the variables we are declared. Then as usual, clear screen. In the output screen, how many elements you want to input? In the output screen, what exactly first it will display? How many elements? Then for example, C in extraction operator n. For example, here I am to give 5. Then what next it has to be print? See out, enter the elements. In the output screen, enter the elements. Then afterwards we are using for loop. For loop, don't put semicolon at the end. If you put semicolon, then what happens? On that time, it will consider as a single statement. Only one element we can able to input. Only first iteration it will work. That's why for loop, for while, you are not supposed to put any semicolon. Now, C in extraction operator A of I. It means that first time for I it will take it 0. Then it will input the value, first value. For example, 1 I am going to give. Next, once again it will enter to the loop. Now I become 2. First time it is 0, then now it become 1. Then check the condition satisfies second value. Then third, 1 by 1, all the values we are inputting. First value, second one, third, 4, and then for example 6. These are the values we are entered. That means enter the elements. There we are entered. How many elements? Here we are given 5. Then 5 elements we are entering here. Then afterwards, the elements are, to print the elements, what we have to write? The elements are, it has to display. Then what happens? Once again, we are displaying the values one by one. For I starts from once again 0. Here, first time for I, it will take it as 0. Set W5 we are given. For this, the supporting header file is iomanip.h. Now first it will leave 5 space, then first element it will print. Then once again, it will leave 5 space, second element, third element, then fourth and then fifth. It means that we can able to input the value as well as we can able to print the values. Here, see the output, how many elements, then input the values. One by one elements we can able to input. While inputting the values, we can input in the column format or it may be in row format. Whichever way you want, you can input. While displaying also, whichever way you want, you can display that. This is regarding how to read and print the elements by using one-dimensional array. Then in the next class, you will come to know regarding what do you mean by two-dimensional array, how to declare the two-dimensional array, how to initialize the two-dimensional array, then how to read as well as print the two-dimensional array elements with that multi-dimensional array. Regarding that, you will come to know in the next session. Thank you for all of you.